All right. Slide this over here real quick. So, how's everything going with you, Emmanuel?
I mean, I suspect since I'm from
Oh yeah, we'll get more into that in a minute. But just how you feeling tonight, brother? I know you got a lot of craziness going on. In fact, you know what? Let me just go and lead in. Hello, thank you for joining us. This is the Political Matrix. As you see, I am your host, Young Morpheus, and I am here with my brother Emmanuel. And I feel like this would be a very special episode, being that one of our main hosts right here, Emmanuel, is actually from Atlanta, and with what's going on with the terrorists that's going on in Atlanta, and with Biden visiting Atlanta, I'm sure there's a lot that's on your mind, Emmanuel. So, I guess your thoughts on either one, whichever one you want to elaborate on first.
um well, I always had a problem with Biden coming into the state in regards to the American Rescue Plan. Um I I didn't think it was very good. I think he failed us. So that was number one. But so I was really just worried about that, and I wasn't really worried about anything else. Um the shootings were the shootings were shocking to say the least. Um it wasn't anything that I hadn't seen before. You know, white guy, white guy does a massacre, commits a bunch of terrible acts, and then the news basically, just covers for him or makes excuses for him. And, Biden coming at the tail end to say, it's horrible. And like the half mask thing, it just seemed all kind of performative. And, it was just, it's a mess. Um, it saddened me a lot that people finally acknowledged the anti-Asian hatred after 8 people died, because in regards to the coronavirus, the Asian community really has they've been struggling. So it's
Yeah, I
really
mean, yeah, it's with all of it going on, it's a whole ball of wax. I mean, I kind of I got into a thread, and I was like, well, you got to pay attention to what these people say sometimes. And what the killer said, his admitted words was that they were a form of places that he would go to that he felt was a form of weakness. So what he decided to do was, because he loves something and he feels he can't control himself, instead of saying, I need to pull myself away from this,
he
or
just
I
needed
need
to
to
walk
not
away.
do this, I need to go destroy that instead. I mean, that's the same kind of mentality that a rapist would have. Well, I mean, she shouldn't have been walking around naked. I mean, she made me have to rape her. I mean, that's that same kind of logic. And I noticed that when it's always a certain demographic of people who do this, we always go into, well, you got to understand that they had this and that, and we start talking about it in all these different broad ranging philosophical, thought out ways, instead of just saying, um, if this was somebody of Arab descent, would we care, or would we look into, well, maybe he was abused by his parents and that, sent him into a warped state, and he went into society and did X, Y, and Z. No, if it's a Latino male, if it's a black male, if it's any other group of people, for some reason, they don't get that same deference. It's only for the white male population. Sorry to just put it out there, that seems to get this break. And I wouldn't necessarily say it's a break from even just us, the average people. For the most part, I feel the media is coddling these people, because I feel majority of them look at it as, well, that can be my son, which honestly, I believe a lot of them, most of their kids are about that far from doing some of that shit anyway, because normally it's the preachers and the people who are high up and who have the most resources who do the most horrible shit. Um, oh, and by the way, I wanted to acknowledge, I see we got Mona in the building. We got signs in the audience also. Thank you all for joining us. We do definitely appreciate it. Sorry to go on for a little bit, but your thoughts, Emmanuel, on what I said.
No, no, I agree with what you're saying. It was the context of what the news was trying to do. The context of the news trying to paint him as what? A sex addict, right? Pillar of the community, stuff like that. You're already seeing what's up, Frederick? You're already seeing people you're already seeing people say they're already saying male supremacy. So they're literally skirting around everything except calling it white, except calling
Yeah,
it.
and instead of putting it on the fact that this is a white male, they have to put it onto, oh, well, it's male tox. What's that word that they were saying that was floating around for the longest? What is it?
Toxic masculinity.
Toxic masculinity, but they keep dropping that white off the front of it, and that needs to be expounded on, because anytime there's any kind of toxic masculinity in other demographics, it's not accepted. Yes, I did get a little tongue twisted there, but it's not. It's looked at always differently. We need to always, well, you got to understand this was different, and you look at it throughout, because of course, with all the research I've been doing for my other channel, looking at ancient history, whenever we talk about, say, Thanksgiving, there's always the emphasis on, well, you got to understand that things were more complicated, and though they killed the natives, it's not that clear cut. That there's always some kind of excuse or caveat that the conquerors, colonizers, conquistadors, all of them are given. And then when they talk about the revolts back throughout history, like the Haitian revolts or Nat Turner's revolts, or many of the other slave rebellions, it's always put back on, well, these people attacked us, so of course we had to crack down on them, when it's like, you were the one in the wrong in the first place, which is going back to, which I use kind of a demographic as a whole of what a good chunk of certain people do in a demographic, not saying every single white person, but it's the same thing on to that percentage of white males who continuously do these types of things. And then we have to hear white liberals say, well, I'm not like that. Well, you don't have to be like that. If, say, 50% of your group of people are like that, and they make up more than most of the other populations, then the proximity that all of us who are non-white have to run into racism is still extremely high, even though you as a white person may not be out there contributing to the racism yourself. It's still a massive problem, throughout each group. And I'm sorry to say it, it's mostly coming from the white race, not towards them.
My person, let's see, what was my personal thing? What was the thing I noticed? My personal favorite headline was the NBC headline where they said Black people should help out Asian people. That was that killed me.
Yes, please elaborate.
Okay, it was like this. It was like this NBC News article where it was basically suggesting like what Black people can do to help out Asian people in the time of the in the aftermath of the shooting, and it got really it got really heated on Twitter, and I was just like, with a lot of people basically saying, why is it black people's responsibility to make other people of color feel better about something that white people are doing? So
Only thing I feel that black people could actually do to help would be say, hey, I guess get used to it. I mean, that's all we could do to help because that's all that happens with us. I mean, how are you going to take the people who are probably suffering from the most abuse systematically and just randomly from random racist people? How can you take these people who have not found a way to deal with the racism they've been dealing with for 400 years and adding in my Latino and Native American brothers and sisters? Let's go back 500 years. 500 years of being at the bottom. We haven't found a way to deal with it or been recompensed or, any kind of actual restorative justice. So how in the hell can we go and explain to a group which is actually doing better than us and has more avenues of resources of people to actually defend them? For instance, out here in California, there is a heavy Asian population. There are plenty of Asian Americans who sit in seats of office, and not just token where there's one here or there. There's enough politicians of Asian descent, especially out here in California, where they actually have legislative power to make things happen. And when you go into the Asian demographics to where majority of people are, you go into New York, California, parts of Atlanta, major big cities, whereas there's normally a lot of money and a lot of influence. Now, I'm not saying that they should just be ignored and nobody should help them and black people should say, middle fingers to them because they are going to have more, or they have a little bit more advantages and resources to push back against the racism. Also, the fact that uh, ones who are, say, Chinese American or Japanese American, you actually have a homeland and a consulate which actually stands up and pushes back for you. As a black man in America, there's no consulate building, there's no nation that says, "Hey, you guys need to start treating them a little bit better over there," or "You're not, you guys can't keep doing this to our people." We don't have that. And I mean, in actuality, it's the same with like the groups I all named: blacks, Latinos, Native Americans, and to a certain degree, if you're of Arabic persuasion, also, because of how much you're demonized, because of what a couple of extremists will do halfway around the world, and how our media loves to demonize.
right.
Um, yeah,
um
sorry, I get on. I get on my
no,
tangent.
you're good, you're completely fine. We are start you are starting to see more people getting angry. Hey, what's up, what's up, Thomas? You're starting to see more people. You start to see more Asians going out buying guns. You are starting to see more offices, and you starting to see more buildings and offices open up. I'm just like, a lot of people are upset. A lot of people are mad. A lot of people blame the virus for losing their job, losing their home, being stuck with their kid, all day for like hours on end. I mean, I suspect there's going to be more instances of what happened in Georgia with the shooting, happening in other, Asian establishments, restaurants, nail salons, supermarkets. I mean, even here in Atlanta, there's a really huge Asian community. It's only a matter of time before we see more violence, and just the simple fact of the matter is that it won't change unless we can start acknowledging the elephant in the room. And unfortunately, we don't seem to want to, as a country, as a nation, we don't
Yeah,
really want to do that.
as a
So,
nation, we don't want to do that. And the messed up part about it is it's not even going to the point of even asking for consequences necessarily yet. It's to the point of just saying, hey, can people just be a little bit honest on certain things? I mean, think about how long it took for us to and this isn't even the whole entire country. Getting rid of Christopher Columbus Day. How long that took? This nation does not want to deal with what racist white males have done in this nation. They don't want to face it head on.
Yep. You
And
know,
it's the same thing with
what's up,
this
Chris?
situation. And we have Mr. Lawson joining us. Yes, we were talking about the Asian American tax and the rise of that, and the I wouldn't even say suggestion. I took it more as onerous that they were putting on the Black community for them to help solve the racism that's going on in the Asian community. And it's something. Now, here's something that I do want to push back on about it. Out here in California, what was it? 1.4 million was given to fight against anti-Asian harassment. Out here in California, especially with all the vendors, you know how many of the food vendors out here of Latino descent have been going through the same thing for decade after decade. And what I'm saying is, part of that is people are just assholes and they go and attack, a lot of times weaker people than them. Another aspect of it is I don't see how giving money is going to stop people from being racist. That part I don't get. So Chris, would you like to jump in and tell me your thoughts on what's been going on with this whole thing that's been going on? Oh, and we talked about the serial killer in Atlanta.
What's going on, guys?
Yeah, what's up, man?
I don't know. I think my connection is bad because you guys are frozen.
Yeah, you froze a little bit, but I hear you. I hear you now pretty good.
Oh, okay. But E, what's up, man?
Man, what's up?
Marcus, what's good? Ain't nothing much, man. Same old stuff. Everybody in the audience, what's going on? Sorry, I'm running late. I just got in a little while ago. I'm always gallivanting, as the old folks say.
Well, you got to remember, one of us has to be fun. I mean, we got Emmanuel. Emmanuel, he's over there, and he's like the conscience of the show. He's like, this is not going on right in the world, and that's not going on right in the world. He's fighting the fight, and I'm the show's like researcher and constantly, angry man who's trying to keep it at a simmer all the time. And then, so we got to have somebody who goes out and still lives life and has fun. So what is going on, Mr. Fun Man over there?
Nothing much. I seen the topics. What you guys already cover?
We're still on the shooting in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was.
I've been curious to hear your thoughts on it because I know we went back and forth a little bit on Twitter with a couple of different people and saying our thoughts, and of course we have our private chat, which some of our regular people in the chat. I'm meaning to add some of them because I think that they might find some of our private dialogues fun and engaging, and might have some fun with it. Some of the stuff which we don't feel as comfortable just putting straight out there yet. I will be probably, since I've been trying to get the Rockfin thing going and been having trouble hearing back from Rockfin, I'll probably be starting a Patreon for that content where I don't feel like couching my words and being as careful and just telling you guys all the direct, straight 100 truth. So that's something that I definitely am. I will, of course, give you guys heads up notice when I'm going to do one of those completely unrated type shows for Patreon. But until then, I just wanted to give everybody a quick little heads up on that because we are trying our best to be a little bit careful on some of the stuff that we talk about. We don't necessarily get we don't necessarily get banned very often or strikes very often. But what we do get is our search results get buried. Our suggested results get buried. Certain countries we literally get blocked to. I don't know if you knew that, Emmanuel, because
No, I
I'm
knew
new.
about the berry thing. I didn't know about the block country thing.
Yeah, there's actually about 4 or 5 European countries which we are blocked to. Um, and so that happened with my What I've Been Thinking channel. As I started getting a lot more attention, that started to happen on that channel, and it's followed me over to this one. Let's see. Oh, Mona asked me a question. I've been rambling on, not paying much attention to the chat. Says Marcus, how much subscribers do you have on your other channels? Um, I have, what is it, 127 on the What We've Been Thinking, and I have 7 on my brand new channel, Hebrew Apologetics. Um, but I've literally seen people who they've probably been doing content, maybe, well, not even doing content, maybe just had their YouTube channel for a year longer than me that haven't done content, and they have more subscribers than I do without doing content. So, how I managed to get, let's say, by now I'm easily over, say, 50,000 views for the channel overall. Um, in that amount of views to have so little amount of followers is a little confusing to me, but I'm happy for the people who do come in and listen to our content and take the time to hear us out. um, I know that you all could be doing anything else, and you all could definitely be with a lot of those bigger channels. So we do appreciate you guys spending your time with us. I guess let's have a little bit of fun and talk about the Biden falling up the stairs.
Now, see, we have to talk about the whole thing, right? We would have to talk about him accidentally calling, accidentally.
Well, that's because yes, I definitely want to add that into that conversation. Yes, so
Okay,
go
and
ahead,
then we're
pick it up.
going to talk about, what happened amongst his what happened amongst the White House too, because apparently all of these seem to happen pretty much within the space of the same week. So it can't be a coincidence that all of these things happen all around at the same time. So you have to question why all of them happen at the same time. But go ahead. I know what you're going to talk about. You're going to talk about the fall, right? And then everybody made a meme about it and everything.
Oh man. Well, the thing about the fall is before he fell, just the way he's walking across the way he's walking across the helipad or tarmac, I'm like, this is maybe a cheap shot, but I'm thinking this is probably one of the most corniest, goofiest white dudes ever. Look at him. It's like he looks like he's literally counting his steps as he walks across there. Like 1, 2, 1, 2. Make sure he doesn't trip over his shoe. I mean, Biden. I mean, he's so robotic, especially at this point. And then he's falling up the stairs. He's calling Kamala the president. I mean, I'm waiting for him to call her, Mammy, one of these days or something off the wall. That's the reason why I'm pretty sure that they're hiding so hardcore, because they know better. If they let Joe Biden talk for an extended amount of time, I mean, the amount of gold that you can get from that. Now, of course, the media is trying to balance the amount of, okay, how much gold can we get out of Biden without tarnishing him, kind of thing. So I don't know if they're ready to try that yet, but I don't know. What's your thoughts on Oh, and I thought of another thing. I don't know if people have noticed this. It is funny since Mona brought up Russia. I find this hilarious. But dude, you know how sometimes people will be talking trash and somebody tell them, "Hey, come on, just hop on," like I've done to people before. Putin told Biden to click the damn link.
Mhm.
He basically told him to click the link. He told him, he said, "Hey, get on here live and say this shit to my face. And I don't know how much experience y'all have with dealing with Russians, or if you've ever met Russians. And I've met a lot of Russians before. You know, they're kind of interesting people. They're fun. They can be lighthearted and everything. But one thing I've learned about Russians is they can get offended about something very quickly that you will think is, you'll be like, I mean, like, you could slap them in the face and call their mama a hooker, and they might go, ha ha ha, my friend, and laugh about it. But you can be out drinking with them, and they offer you a cigarette, and you're like, nah, man, I'm good. I don't want a cigarette. And they're like, what? I thought we were brothers. What? And they're ready to just be done with you or fist fight you sometimes. Russians can be a little bit interesting. So the fact that, you know, the United States has been trying its best to paint Russia as the biggest villain ever. And I got the feeling we're going to get to a point where you talk things up long enough, you can manifest them to happen. And so they've been worrying about Russia all this time. Now I think they're going to actually have to really worry about Russia. So I'll turn it over to you fellas. What's your thoughts on that?
No, I think they were trying to pull. I thought Democrats were trying to pull another Russiagate, right? And Biden called him out. Pretty much said, you know, that's not happening. You know, Biden sits there, calls Putin the killer. Putin says, okay, let's have a debate then. He knows Biden hasn't been on, he knows Biden hasn't done a conference, been on TV or anything like that. We all know he's falling apart behind the scenes. We're all aware of it, right? So Putin knew that. That's why Putin said it. And because he said it, that means everybody has to focus on that. And they're less likely to focus on starting another 4 years of blaming Russia for every little thing. And therefore, you know, trying to escalate another Cold War situation. So I thought it was inherently clever because it seemed like right from, because you could see subtle signs of like blaming Russia for what happened in the 2020 election. They were literally saying Putin was trying to get Trump to win and everything. So it was already coming, and he just kind of smoked them a little. He kind of smoked them a little bit. And it's not just Russia. It's North Korea and the rest of them. They don't really seem to respect us. Don't really seem to respect us very much. They seem to be looking. They don't seem to see us as a viable threat. So maybe that's another reason why we're focusing more on the fact that Biden fell down the stairs, or that Biden made a mistake in his wording, or weird stuff's going on in the, all of a sudden, weird stuff's going on in the White House that we need to pay attention to, stuff like that. So,
which I'm glad that I'm so happy that I guess I'll consider you all my colleagues out there that we're able to keep hold of this situation, which is going on with Putin and Russia back and forth. We're able to jump over, like Mona brought up about him firing the people for smoking weed. And that's not even if you were smoking it now. That's even if they found out that you have smoked it in the past. So let's
they do
extensive
background check before you even get in the office and before you even get on the job in the first place, where they do ask that, and some of them were like, I have, does it affect whether I get my job? And they were like, no. And then come like months later, they're like, well, we gotta let you go. I mean, it's in the record. So.
Well, and that's the thing about it. You can't have your vice president knowingly on the record saying she smoked weed before. You can't have the president that you served up under say that he smoked weed before. You can't have the president that served, the Democratic president that served before him, say he smoked weed also. And then even, I forgot, the Republican president in between there snorted cocaine. And now you're going to fire your underlings for something which is now legal. And it's legal in D.C. Mm-hmm. It's legal where they were working and living. I mean, majority.
You got to scream out smoke screen. You got to scream out distraction. You got to scream out what's not. What are they? What are they not? What are they not talking about while you are looking at this? Because
what they don't really want, and granted, this is fun and to talk about, but I don't want us to take too much stock in it, too much
Yeah.
on it, like us, because some of the other political channels out there, I believe they have good intentions, but I feel they focus a whole lot on some of these issues like that, and they're missing what's really the bigger issues that I feel like we need to be focusing on. Like along with Russia, what's been going on in them getting a firmer posture in the world. They've also been making more partnerships with more and more nations and trying to get embassy buildings and more stuff, which would be on this hemisphere, or I guess in what the Americans consider their backyard. Another thing that's been going on is the sanctions. With all of these sanctions that the United States has been putting out over all these years on different countries, what's starting to happen with countries like Iran and Russia, which I reported out on I believe last week, or I might have tweeted out earlier in the week, that interesting, both 30%, but was it Russia got 30% more in oil? Got 30% more in oil than hold on a second.
let's see what do we got in the chat here while we wait for more.
It was probably me messing it up.
Okay, you back, Chris? Okay.
Yeah, I had to reset my modem. I don't know, my internet was acting really slow and just weird. So I disconnected all my devices. So now hopefully I don't have an issue. But I was listening on the phone, and that article you brought up, Emmanuel, about what can Black people do to make Asian people feel better. I was just like, talk about timing, right? Like, what do you want Black people to do about this white guy who ran up and shot? You know what I'm saying? Like, that doesn't have anything to do with us. The random videos I see on the street are Black people running up on Asians and assaulting them. That's not cool, but that seems to be more poor individual choices than it does to be like a group of like us as Black folks or Hispanic folks. You know what I'm saying? Just deciding like, you know what, we're just gonna go randomly beat up Asian people. It's really not that serious. It's not a thing in our communities.
That's true.
Well, and that's what I said also out here in California, especially that's been going on, especially with a lot of the taco vendors and stuff. They get beat up and robbed a lot out here, and sometimes, well, actually, a lot of the times, it's people of their own complexion. So it's normally not a racial thing. It's just places like California. You have some assholes who decide, I just want to go out there and just punch an old person in the face. That, I know that sounds crazy to some people in some smaller, towns where everybody knows everybody and loves everybody, but you have people who just do stuff here with for no explainable reasons. I mean, Atlanta, I know it definitely goes on over there, besides what we're already talking about. And Chris, being from New York and living in Florida, definitely knows. I mean, everybody knows about Florida, man.
Look, I was laughing in New York, because, I can't lie. I mean, I never did it, but, the Chinese delivery guys, they got it they got it bad at times in New York, especially like, 90s, late 80s, I've seen it a couple of times. I never agree with it, but, like, it is what it is. I don't think that was something they should do. But that's why they stopped delivering into certain neighborhoods, stopped carrying cash, because if dudes weren't stealing the food, they were stealing the bikes. So.
Oh, I see signs is not signs. I see variant is dropped in. There she is. Somebody was asking, where she was earlier. So I see she's here. Welcome, welcome.
Variant, what's up?
But I mean, I was going to say the same thing. I remember New York and other places. I mean, I used to work corrections, and we literally had a black kid in there for stabbing a delivery driver, a Chinese delivery driver. Now, I guess their initial plan was to rob him, but one of them decided to get a little crazy in his head, and he decided he wanted to just go and stab him. So he goes and stabs him and then brags to his friends about it later on. But what I'm saying is, well, also some of the stereotypes about that some Chinese restaurants are feeding dogs and cats and things like that has already had a racist kind of connotation that's already kind of been out there. So to put, and I'm not saying that Trump is completely innocent, that his talking about, the China virus didn't contribute to some of the violence. We also got to keep in mind there was a lot of violence that was already going on between, Chinese Americans and other places. And I won't even say just Chinese Americans, because especially out here in California, there's always been an issue between Koreans and the black community.
There is, but again, I don't think it's something that's I don't think that's something that's widespread. At least in the communities I've lived in. California is a different animal in itself, so I can't speak to that. But at least at least in the places I've lived, it's not like that. I would ask you, when I was last in Georgia in 2019, I did notice that there were quite a few Chinese people there. I don't think that there's an issue there in Georgia, is there?
Issue with
like between the black community and the Asian community?
No.
Yeah,
no, we never. Right. I don't really think. I've never actually encountered that problem. I would say there was only a problem in regards to like the Asian community as a whole. Since the virus happened, they played up, restaurants and other businesses started bringing up their patriotism like real big, real loud, waving the American flag and everything because they were afraid they were going to get vandalized, they were afraid they were going to get beaten in the streets and stuff like that. So, I have Asians living around me. I haven't seen anything really specifically happen, which is why I was so surprised when that shooting happened. In fact, I was personally I was confused that he started in one town, went 30 miles, went to a completely different place, right? I even knew the street where he did the second one. I know that street. I think there's like an adult bookstore and there's an adult bookstore. What?
Wasn't it in Woodstock?
No, I think it was in Acworth first. Then he went into Northeast. Then he went into Georgia. Then he went into Atlanta off of Piedmont. And there's like two massage. There's like two of those spa parlors. They're across the street from each other. He went to both of those. Shot out both of those places. But there's a strip club and an adult bookstore farther down. So I'm just,
look, we call this the political matrix, right? We talk about things that we're not really a little off road. How many of you guys think, do either of you think that this dude was part of some kind of MK Ultra shit, some mind control thing? Because it was just so weird that we had these attacks. We had several news reports, shall we say, of violence happening to Asian people, and then all of a sudden this guy does this. It's so random. That's why, Emmanuel, when me and you were talking about it when it first happened, honestly, given that it was ATL and it was a nail salon, I'll keep it 100. I thought it was a black dude going to shoot up his baby moms or his girl. That's why I didn't really that's why I didn't really pay it too much attention. I didn't think it was I really didn't think it was aimed at the workers there.
Yeah, I agree with
Yeah.
Thomas. There's
Yeah.
a little tension between
Thomas
minorities.
says there's a little tension between minorities. Some feel the need to fight over scarce resources, jobs, business development, government contracts, even over reparations. The system divides us, in my opinion. I agree, and I guess I'll add on to a little bit, but I'm gonna answer a question I saw that's been going in the chat. They were wondering where all of us were from, and for those who are not following the chat, Chris is in Chris, you're in what, Jupiter? No, West Palm, right?
Yeah. I'm in South Florida.
West Palm, South Florida.
Mhm.
Emmanuel is in Atlanta, and I am in LA County. But I have basically lived all over this country. So a lot of times when I'm talking about, a different area, I will jump around to talking about which area, because I used to live in Florida also. And so I'm very familiar with the area Emmanuel's from. And then I have family literally everywhere. So,
And I'm in
Oklahoma, just like our man.
even though
We're supposed to come down to Florida too.
yeah, and even though I live here, I'm a New Yorker at heart all day. It'll never leave me. No, we like roaches. We just everywhere.
Well, not to mention also, remember I lived in Europe too for a couple of years.
That's right.
Well, Europe and Puerto Rico, so I've moved around a lot. Let's see. And so what Thomas was talking about that the scarcity, and I see it especially depending on where we are. For instance, in the Midwest, I don't see a lot of division between blacks and the Latino population. But get out here in California, it's a different story to a degree. Some areas it's cool, but some areas it's literally like complete hatred of each other. And then out here, you might see division between certain races, which you go to another area and you don't see that at all. Like I think about family which I have, which are like in Minnesota and Michigan, places like that. There's a heavy Arab community, but they don't really run into any problems with the Arab community. As in, if you move to where I grew up in Kansas, you get some little side eyes and people get a little nervous if they see somebody of the Arab persuasion. So, each little nook and cranny of this country, we all got different, issues we got to deal with.
Look, let me answer Sandra real quick. Do I hate Cuomo? I don't like Cuomo. I didn't like his dad, and I damn sure don't like his brother. So yeah, I don't mess with none of the Cuomo family. What they call them? What Donald Trump and them started calling the other one Fredo?
Yeah, those the Fredo brothers. I came up with a name.
I don't mess with them.
Perfect for them. Cuomo-sexuals.
Right. You're big on cloning.
I'm like, okay. Because here's the thing. For those of us who were like really hardcore, like researching a lot of this stuff and what was going on at the time, we were all running around screaming with our hairs on fire, talking about the nursing homes, talking about all these things, while the whole media was trying to create their Cuomo's our separate president because Trump's not our president. So we'll just project everything that we think is great and what's presidential, and really it's not even anything of substance. What they did is, well, Cuomo comes to the mic and he looks like a president and he talks like a president.
Well, he just wasn't Trump.
Turned like a president.
Yeah, that's all it really was. Not Trump, like Biden, not Trump.
That's all it was. Your man is falling up the stairs. I didn't even really feel bad for him. Your man fell up the stairs, and all the same people who were laughing at Trump for similar, little things. And again, this not even important, right?
For you, this question's for you.
Oh, of course you could say Fredo here. We just can't say the other F word, which is Dr. Foul. I mean, you get it.
Yeah, we can't say Dr. Foulmouth here.
Can't say anything
Dr.
about him.
Philistine.
Yeah, you can't say that name. You could say other names, but
Yeah.
just not his. Oh, did
It's
you
just
guys watch
like-
that? Yo, did you guys watch that Rand Paul exchange with Dr. So and So?
Mm-mm.
No, I did not. Please,
Oh, it
because
was-
this is your wheelhouse. So enlighten all of us right now.
No, so it was good because they had a congressional hearing. What the topic was, I don't know, but Rand Paul was questioning Fauci on the need for masks and blah blah blah. And Rand Paul came out and told Fauci he participates in theater. He's like, you've been vaccinated, you've been fully vaccinated, yet you run around with 2 masks, like you're on, like you're performing. So I thought that was a breath of fresh air that somebody actually called him out, because me, I think he's full of it. So it was good to see that, even if it came from Rand Paul. Not my favorite dude in the whole world, but on some things, I can agree with him. But it was good to see him call out Dr. So-and-so again. He shall remain nameless, because, we got in trouble last time we started going in on him. So we'll
He's
just,
starting to get like Voldemort.
yeah,
That's
correct.
Yeah, he's getting like Voldemort. I mean, we got to be careful. Well,
Will not
you got
be
to remember, there's another politician that we got to be careful. We can't say that politician's name, even though Emmanuel kept on alluding to it last time, or who. It's like Prince, the politician formerly known as. That's what we'll call this young up and comer who is shooting for a governorship.
Which one is this?
Oh, well, think about it. Who's going for governorship of a very, very, very prominent state who just came out of nowhere? Probably maybe 4 to 5 years ago, they were a nobody.
Oh wait, you talking about from Queens, New York?
Oh yeah, Queens.
Oh.
But your team found love.
Oh yeah. You know what's funny? That's like my district. Where's she from? That's my where I grew up. You know what I'm saying? So like most of my family's in her district. But yeah, she's really performative too. And you notice, like I told you guys, the better her makeup gets, the better her hair is, the less she's an ally, kid. She's just all for the TV now. Yeah, son, exactly. Uchi foul. Hey, that works.
When we did all that, see, I was almost, screw it. I'll take the rap on the knuckles if I get in trouble for this joke. It almost sounds like we were talking about Asian stuff, like you just gave him an Asian name all of a sudden.
I know, right? They're gonna be mad at that.
But you know what? I realized that the more and more I've done the more research that I've been doing, when you start seeing the real picture of what's going on and how ridiculous a lot of this stuff is, it gets harder to hold back and kind of be careful with your words. That's what I was saying earlier before I was interrupted. I was talking about what Russia has been doing to get around the sanctions. Russia has been doing a lot more business with China. So far now they China's bought 30% more beef from Russia. And so they're starting to go into buying more beef from Russia. And also Iran is doing the same thing. They're starting to sell oil to China. So they're starting to recoup enough of their funds. And not to mention, Iran is getting ready to retest the reactor that's been down for like 10 years. So while we got dumbass Biden doing dumbass things and, micromanaging the hell out of his people and worrying about petty stuff, we got people who are getting further and further behind on their rent. We got businesses that are shutting down. While right now the media can only focus on one kind of oppression at a time, while they're focusing on Asian vendors, we still got Latino vendors who are having trouble. We still got Black people who are getting shot down every 5 minutes. We still got women, especially from the Native American tribes, which are getting yanked off and thrown into the sex trade. And all of these things going on in the media is just like, Well, Biden, he fell up the stairs. All right, let's talk about that for 2 hours. So I don't know. What are your
You
thoughts?
you know if it's
Excuse me.
irrelevant, the media is going to focus on it. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like,
On forever. So
yeah,
you know,
anything that requires further discussion, a little bit of nuance, research, knowledge, that's not something they're going to touch because I mean they've trained their audience not to think about those things. So it's just really unfortunate that that's where we are today. Which is why I only mainstream sources I watch is what I see online, and I only watch clips. So I'm totally removed from it. I don't even have cable. I just have an internet connection and my Chromecast, and I watch myself there. You know. Oh, did they did um did they fire Kamala too for smoking weed?
see, that's the question, ain't it? That's the question. They fired all of them, but they didn't fire they didn't fire old girl, right? No,
Right.
he calls her President Harris, and I'm like, he must call her that, and he must call her that, behind the scenes when he's not on camera. So
Mhm.
the only question I have when I see stuff like that happening is, we already know. I speculate that she's already she's president, pretty much only excepting in name, right? She's pretty much all but president with the exception except in name. So if we're going to look at it, we need to ask, okay, when is the charade gonna drop? And then they just, shuffle Biden off to like wherever he's gonna go, and Kamala finally gets in charge, like, because the signs are evident to me,
Oh,
anyway.
so let me ask you, you and ATL. So I know everybody with the stimulus spending must be crazy. Like the stores are packed down there or what?
Um, they were at first, but it wasn't. I thought it would be. I thought it would be more intense, but it just seems like the check just the check was there and gone, like poof, gone, because you were behind by. Because from what I've been hearing, you've been behind by so much that it wasn't going to cover anything. It was probably only going to have you covered for what, like a week, maybe two. It's been what, like a week, maybe two since it happened. So that all tracks. It doesn't fix being behind on rent by some people are behind on rent by like thousands of dollars. You can still get evicted. So I'm just like, yeah.
I'm just reading Kelly's comment. Just a quick reminder: the relief bill to save us all for one time is double what we exactly.
Mm-hmm.
That's a fact, Kelly. I heard. I don't know. I looked into this, Kelly, and it doesn't appear that we will be taxed for the stimulus
I thought
money.
they were calling it technically an advance to next year, but you might be right, Chris.
It is. It's in like an advanced tax credit, but I didn't see, at least from what I've seen now and what I do in like my personal life for work. I haven't. None of the clients I work with have said that that there's a tax, and these are people who would actually know about this stuff. So as of right now, I would say no. I do not believe that it will be taxed, but all of these things are subject to change down the road.
Now I'm hearing some people getting like stuff in the mail saying they're only getting like $600 or something like that. They're not even getting the full 1,400, and then you have other people particularly worried about like the credit card company or some creditor or whatever coming in and garnishing that stimulus check. So yeah, well, the progressives were going to push Biden left. What happened with that? What happened there? It just did not. Didn't seem to happen.
That was a talking point, and that was it. Send me a standalone.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I'll hop in and read it. The check was spent long before Congress decided to jerk us, or you could say U.S. too. Nice double entendre. Off in Trump's last 8 months. Send me a standalone 2K for the people. Trump, August 2020. See, here's the thing, which the media has tricked everybody into doing. What they've done is they told everybody Trump is so racist, he's so hateful, Trump, bad, 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 bad. He's bad in every way. He's the worst of the worst of the worst thing that we've. Anything is better. A can of paint is better than Trump. Everything is better than Trump. And so when they've got so much of the general public to accept that that's the norm, and anything you get is just better than Trump, it's put the floor so low that most of us are tripping over. And so anything he does, which is halfway decent, now they can spin everything to being good. What I noticed, and what most people with, I guess, common sense would notice, is that the American empire is taking a step backwards. And it looks like, if you notice what the rest of the countries have been doing, is they're starting to back away from the U.S. You're starting to see more. I did a report, what was it, on my other channel probably about 2 or 3 weeks ago, maybe a month ago. And I went into how China is getting a lot more aggressive on everything. And what I was trying to get across in that is, as Americans want to focus on every 4 years, well, the next midterm, and we're thinking in these cycles like that, and thinking, well, if we just get this president in, then these things change with this nation, and these relationships change. What they don't understand is every nation is not on a 2-year, 4-year, 18-month little interval. Most of these countries are on much longer, trajectories. And so, for instance, the trajectory which China is on has been on a 25-year pathway. So it doesn't matter if somebody else got in there, or this person did that, or he dies and somebody else pops up. The objective is still the same. Now, in the United States, we're a completely divided country, which is pretty much in a stalemate on doing anything for the people and, everything for the corporations. You can only do that so long as a nation before you completely destroy your purchasing economy. And your purchasing economy is the only thing that keeps a nation afloat. Oh, I see. Shout out to DJ Elf in the building. What were you going to say, brother?
No, I was just going to say that I agree with everything you said, other than that we're very divided. I don't actually think we're that divided as individuals, as people. I think the politicians want to give us and the media, really, I can't even put this on the politicians. The media wants to give the opinion. They want to push the opinion that we are severely divided, but we really aren't. Most of us, look, you're going to keep people home. You're going to tell them they can't go to work. You're going to tell the kids they can't go to school. So yeah, cut people a check. There's no real division on that. I would just say, like, please just open the country up and let us do what we need to do. But look, most people want police to stop brutalizing people. Most people don't want the migrants who coming across the border trapped in cages one way or other, whether you want to let them in, whether you want to send them home. I don't think any group, any camp is all for just keeping them there in that situation. So, yeah, we do have some divisions, but I don't think it's as deep as they try to make it seem, because in my everyday life and talking to people from many different walks of life, I just don't see that huge division. I know people would be nice in general conversation, but you could pretty much tell.
What I mean before, and I put Sign's comment up there because I want us to talk about that and dig in a little bit on that one, because there's a whole lot of meat in that statement there. I don't mean division as much as the people. For instance, most of this stuff which I talk about, especially even when I say, the white male privilege and white supremacy and all that, what people need to keep in context to what I talk about. And when I talk about any different groups in those ways, a lot of times I'm talking about at the top level who can I'm talking about those people because we can get along all day long. Oh, Emmanuel, could you mute real quick? We can get along all day long, but the problem is if none of our representatives are doing what we want and are representing us actually, then it's not going to matter because they're just going to do whatever the hell they want to do. That's what I'm saying. We agree for the most part. Most of us, the 90%, but it's that 10% that controls us that is going to be the downfall of things. Oh, go ahead, Chris.
No, I couldn't. No, I agree. I couldn't agree with you more. Kelly just said Phil Knight of Nike said that if the TPP passed, they promised 10,000 new American jobs, but it really meant 300,000 new jobs in Malaysia. That's very true.
Which goes back to what Thomas was just talking about. I'll read the comment so I can connect the two. Thomas says several countries across Asia and the Pacific couldn't beat China in trading. Plus, they resent U.S. foreign policy, so they all formed the Asia-Pacific Trade Agreement to bypass the U.S. and Russia once in. And that is what I have been talking about for the longest. Everybody's been worried about, well, what if we ever got to a situation where we might go to war with China? Well, the one thing is always tinged in the back of my head is whether it's China, whether it's Russia down the road, we're going to face off against one of them because it's kind of like if you keep talking trash back and forth against each other, one of these days you're going to meet each other in the streets and you got to see who's going to do what. And you got America, which is full of pride and arrogance and think they can't be taken down. And Russia, who's starting to feel like, hey, we're starting to get a little bit tougher. We can, we're not going to be submissive. We've been the longest superpower. So with that going on, you got a lot of male testosterone between two nations with a lot of firepower. And then China rising up with their own, so it's just a matter of, is the U.S. strong enough to take on these two big bullies? Is it really Bruce Lee? Or we're going to find out soon enough, unfortunately. And so, and I guess you guys put a 1 in the chat if you want me to go into some of the biblical prophecy that literally goes into what Thomas said. So put a 1 in there if you want me to kind of go into that and elaborate. But I'll give it back to you fellas.
No, I'm just reading. I had missed Thomas's comment that you were talking about, where he said, where he was talking about several countries in Asia. That's very interesting. On the foreign policy front, you see, what country was that in South America where they just arrested the former president? Was that in Bolivia? You guys know what I'm talking about? Did you see that? Did they arrest the shorty on corruption and all that other stuff?
That super racist one who was talking about that all the Indios or paisas need to go up to the damn countries, and they need, and if they want to stay down there, they can stay in jail or be murdered or thrown in jail and all that. Yeah, that one. Who came down with the Bible, which is about like bigger than her, who's never probably read the damn thing.
Yes. So yeah, they sent her. They filed charges on her. So she may go to prison, but who knows? But I just thought that was kind of interesting. People around the world are pushing back against this. Against a lot of things. We just don't see it here through our normal mainstream media. But thank God for the internet, because when you start searching, you can see like, people are awake to a lot of the bullshit. Like today in England, they had that massive rally against their lockdowns today. There was so many. What do you say? That Bible thumping bitch. The signs is funny for that one. Yeah, Kelly, yes, it was in Bolivia. Yes. I just can't remember her name.
Yeah,
we'll blame it on the contents of the cup.
Inez. I think it was Linda, or maybe I think it might be Linda Inez But Inez is, yeah, that was her name. Can't remember that old witch's name. But I see in the chat people did want to hear a little bit of prophecy. So let's get into it. Guess you'll see I haven't cut my hair in a little bit. So
Damn,
right,
yeah, you
anybody?
haven't, man. You let your hair grow? What you doing?
I don't know. I just figure I let it grow a little bit and try. I haven't let it grow much in a long time, so trying
You
something
know, I
new.
thought about doing that, but that middle phase is so nasty. That's why I just keep cutting it all off. Like, it's whatever.
Oh, don't worry. This ain't getting cut at all. So watch. Yeah, we stick around long enough. Who knows? I'll start looking like a black ZZ Top. But a little bit of biblical prophecy is it literally. Now, for those who don't know, most scholars across the board consider Mystery Babylon to be America. And the reason why they consider it to be Mystery Babylon to be America, because Mystery Babylon is considered a virgin, meaning it hasn't been defiled as in losing in battle. That the United States is the only major nation which has not been invaded by other nations once it became a nation. Now, granted, territories have been attacked, but it's not the same as a major hit to the homeland. It also passes most of its doctrines and philosophies around the whole entire world. So after a certain time, everybody's doing what Americans do. The fact that let's see, what is it? 46% of the world speak an Indo-European language, which was pushed basically through the conquistadors, the English, British during slavery for the most part, and through decolonization of Africa and South and the Americas as a whole. So that's why, and there's a gazillion other things I could go into without going too long to explain why America is Mystery Babylon. And then so we've established Mystery Babylon. Now, what it says is going to happen in Mystery Babylon is it says that it's going to be left dark and silent and burned with fire. Well, it's going to be burned with fire and then left dark and silent. And the nation which is going to do that is called God. Well, the nations, it says Gog and Magog. If you look up which nations Gog and Magog are, Gog and Magog, that's Moscow, Russia. So literally thousands of years ago in the Bible, it was already predicting that Russia was going to attack the US. It also predicts great damage to happen to the nation of Moab, which a lot of research it took to figure this out, but the nation of Moab is China. So it's already predicting. And then it talks about bloodstained garments from Basra. The nation of now it's talking twofold. It's talking about the people, the ancient people of Basra, and it's talking about the location of Basra where this battle is going to happen. For those who don't know geography or are not familiar with the Middle East, Basra is in Iraq. Now, where have we been fighting at for the longest? Iraq.
Wasn't your homeboy, Marcus, wasn't your homeboy in Iraq earlier this week?
Mm-hmm. Yes. The Pope
He was
in
and he's pushing his
he was with the
interfaith.
Ayatollah. Yes, trying to push the interfaith, all faiths, on one accord and all of that, stuff. And I'm not trying to trash anybody else's religions or this or that, but there's a difference between each religion, and they don't just meld together and everybody's just we're all worshiping the same God. It's just no, that's not. And any person who say they profess to believe in the Bible who is trying to say, oh yeah, we're all the same, you're a liar. You're full of it, and know that they are full of it. Let's see. And another thing that I was gonna say about that whole prophecy, the reason why you know that it's nuclear weapons that Mystery Babylon is going to be hit with, because it says the whole nation will be devoured in an hour. It also says that weapon would destroy everything there, and your eyes and your tongues would melt in their sockets. Now, what 6,000 years ago, there was nothing that could do that to a whole entire nation. So that tells you that that prophet, what they were seeing is what they were seeing. Now, I get it. Some out there are non-believers, and that's fine. And I enjoy them who will just listen to the information respectfully. So if you're not a believer, fine. Just please just take it as entertainment. That's fine. That doesn't hurt my feelings at all. But I believe that regardless of whatever anybody believes individually, what's going to happen is going to happen, because the prophecy in the Bible that we've seen, and I'm not talking about, you pay attention to these dumbass churches. They don't know what the hell they're talking about. I'm saying if you really go in and start breaking down this stuff, I could show you different things throughout history, which all came to pass. And we will get into that more on my other channel, Hebrew Apologetics with Marcus Gage.
Well, since you touched on it, I did think it was funny that the Catholic Church came out and said that they cannot bless homosexual unions. I thought that was, and then that community got upset. I thought that was a double funny, because it's like, to the church, you won't recognize their unions, but you won't even recognize the abuse that you was doing to little kids, right? So it's like, what your take is on what their relationship. Go ahead.
Well, my thing is, if you're gonna be a hypocrite, just be a hypocrite all the way around. I mean, you're out there, you messing with children. Here's another thing that they're doing. They're telling people, oh, well, you need to pay your tithes, or else don't come to church. Well, for one, tithes are supposed to be paid to the Levitical priest. The Catholic Church, from my memory, are not Levitical priests, so therefore they should be not getting a dime of anything. Also, those tithes are supposed to be paid in Israel, in the temple, which doesn't exist anymore. So therefore, you're not supposed to be taking in. Now, an ohm is one thing. An ohm is a donation. Yes, we're required to help the poor and things like that. But any church is telling you that you need to be dropping in your 10% and all that is completely full of shit.
Well, and the other part that I thought was kind of interesting was that, that community got so upset. Oh, well, you know what? She's closer to God that way. She's closer to God that way. But
I'm with that.
The gay
tax the churches.
They should. The gay community.
Their businesses.
Yeah, the gay community got upset I was saying the gay community then in turn got upset at the Catholic Church for the statement that they put out. But I mean, you just have to know that religion does not recognize your lifestyle. Again, that's not my personal belief. I say you do what you do, but you already know as part of that religion that they don't approve of that. So why do you feel the need to be upset about people who don't really care about you? Just go ahead and live your life as how you want to live your life. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I laughed. That's why I laughed at it, because I'm like, I wouldn't even care. It's like a racist white person being mad at us for having this program here. What the hell we mad for, right? You can stay mad. We're gonna continue doing what we do here.
Well, yeah, and being the I guess the person who's kind of the zealot here, the religious zealot, you got to understand, and this is my thing. I used to run a show. For those who don't know, I used to run co-host a show with Niall Elcom. Niall is openly from the LGBTQ community. I didn't have any issue towards him personally, and I never engaged with him even on the topic. But once I got back to reading the Bible, if anybody's going to ask me what the Bible says, I'm going to tell you what the Bible says. I'm not going to try to play around with it and twist it around. Now, it's not something which I personally feel, or I've made up these rules or look for anything in there. It's because this is what it says. And so either you're fine with it or you're not. And how how I've always, well, other people have said this, so this isn't my words, but they say, if you don't like what the Bible is saying, you're not arguing with me. You're not arguing with that person who believes in the Bible. You're arguing with the Bible. That's who your argument is with. And you're arguing with who those people believe are, their God, which I believe the God of Israel is the God of this world. So I feel I'm in submission to him. So no, I'm gonna be more fearful of him than whatever somebody else feels. So that's how I am on that. Sign says I'm still hanging with Nile, and there's nothing wrong with Nile. Nile's a nice guy. Everything is just, I started to feel that in order for us to, like, it was just many things that we had issues with. I'm not a big fan of going around trashing other people who I disagree with, no matter what their platforms are. Um, Nile has a habit of liking to trash a lot of other shows, and there's people which in our community which I've gotten along with, people I disagree with, but I'm not gonna go around show after show after show trying to trash them. That's not gonna that's and I didn't like having to either get on there and try to find some way to divert away from trashing people, or have to try to defend it later on when people are like, well, your co-host is saying this about me. I'm like, I don't represent, we have different, that's not, that's what he thinks. That's not me. And it started to get to a point where people were starting to think that I'm the one who's trashing them also. And it's like, no. So we have to separate there. And then I also started to feel like, and I know this is probably going to piss a lot of people off, but I feel like in trying to get justice for my community, other communities often say we're together. But what happens is when it comes to legislative time, whether my issue and my community gets solved or their issue always gets solved. And my issue always gets left behind. But we're still trying to say the message of, oh, but yeah, we still gotta all fight for justice together. But every time it comes to getting that justice, my community every single time is the one that always pulls the short straw. At a certain time, I have to say, I just got to focus on trying to get some help from my community. And then once I get the ball moving for my people a little bit, then I can start focusing on helping other people's community. But I got to try to focus back to my community and help them, because they're dealing with the most crap right now, and they don't have really any kind of allies or advocates that I felt were strongly speaking up for them. So,
No, that's
yeah,
agreeable.
yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
No, this is a little off topic, but I did want to ask Emmanuel, considering that he's in Georgia, if he's seeing the same thing I am here. Are you seeing an influx of new people from up north?
Are you talking about in regards to moving here permanently, or are you talking about in regards to like spring, I guess spring break or whatever?
No, not spring break, just relocating.
Yes. So, more townhomes, more buildings are empty. So, yes, I am seeing a massive influx of people. Little signs of gentrification that have been happening since the virus happened. I haven't. I just noticed just the mass influx of townhomes, especially in POC communities and POC areas. So that it was an issue that was happening prior to COVID, but it just seems to have kicked definitively higher up in the overdrive now that I guess we're going back to releasing everybody. But yes, it is something I've noticed. It is something that is happening. Maybe not as fast as I thought it would be, but it is still happening. You're still seeing influx. And
yeah, down here is we're seeing a lot of people from up north come down here. Like I really want them to stay. Now I'm on some kind of like Trump shit. I want to build a wall because they're coming up.
Chris,
Because they come in
you're
here.
starting to sound like a southerner for real now.
Yo,
You're
it's
starting to
funny
sound
because like they messing up the home prices, kid. Like I'm looking for a house, and every time I look at one, the
you're starting
price
to
is
sound
like
a southerner. Because I
nah.
remember when I was
wait, Chris, isn't an average house like? Isn't an average house in shoot? Isn't an average house in Florida like 90 something?
I mean,
I mean,
it,
I
it
saw
depends
this
on where
on
you
a
are.
chart.
it all depends on where you are, right? So northern Florida,
Yeah.
northwestern Florida is going to be cheaper. South Florida here is super crazy because we have so many people. You have Venezuelans, you have Russians, you have Chinese, you have people from up north. You have everything.
Kelly, I'll answer Kelly's question. Fuck no, I did not vote for that woman. I'm sorry. No.
No, that's funny. But yeah, man, we're seeing a lot of people here, and the housing prices is crazy. Some new business some mid-sized business just announced they're moving their headquarters here. Goldman Sachs keeps playing around saying they're going to move down here, but there have been several businesses and individuals that have moved down here, and it's becoming too much. But again, thank you, Mr. Cuomo, and all you other up north governors for locking people down. Now they're like, nah, we don't want to be locked down. We're going to go someplace where the weather is nice and we don't need to be locked in anymore.
Son says, I'm in
Listen,
Oregon.
I'll answer that question.
Weather is more tolerable than the swampy East Coast. Any comments? I honestly believe, like when I was in Florida, I was in Jacksonville, Northeast Florida, and like Emmanuel was talking about, yeah, you can find houses on like the west side for about like Orange Park for like around 90, 100,000. On the part of town I was on near Atlantic Beach, it might be a little bit more expensive over there. Like some of the newer stuff, maybe around 150, 160. But if you were trying to get closer to the beach, whether it's Atlantic, Neptune Beach, Ponte Vedra, that would have been, we're talking about 400,000 or more. And then starts creeping up, especially once you get to Ponte Vedra, it starts, $1 million and up, those houses, because most of them are right along the coastline. And well, they're
here I'm seeing stuff for like 250, 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom, like 800 square feet. I'm like, where that makes sense, So it's crazy.
The description of the client.
I seen a couple of that's what I was gonna say, son. The reason why the most of the people which I knew of that wanted to move to the Northwest, that I used to hear a lot of people who are more political, because where I was at, Jacksonville is extremely red, even though it's kind of you have a heavy Democratic center, you have a ton of Republicans there. It's definitely MAGA country. And so you have a lot of the younger people who move out of there and try to move to the West Coast. And what they see of Seattle and Oregon, it's a lot more laid back. It looks like there's more people who are more more into the sense of kind of more that West Coast kind of vibe than the East Coast vibe. So I think that's probably part of it there. I want to read out Thomas' comment real quick. It says the tribal communities finally got some big investments with 31 billion from the rescue package. However, I felt the Black community should have gotten over 30 billion too. I'm glad that the tribal communities have gotten something. I honestly didn't know if they were even factoring that in. So at least that's a good thing that they are trying to do something, even though in my opinion is way, way, way too little. And of course they're not going to, because they're gonna they got enough Black people in power who are gonna say, oh well, we're getting the whatever, and jobs are good, and if you give us interest loans, then that's good enough. And we have our own people who are our biggest damn enemies at getting a lot of shit done or getting shit for our community.
Look,
Oh, I see.
you know,
I
I just
see one talking about the arthritis in there. I see you sign them. I talk to you about that little oil. Never
look.
mind.
I see the thread that ties us all together. I didn't know about it, but until tonight. But I see we have some. You know, we have some people who like the green in the chat.
Yeah, I noticed that. Seems to be a running theme, don't it?
Well, I feel like that's a sign of mental awakening and openness. That might be why.
Look,
At least that's
it's
what I'm
better
gonna tell
than the
myself.
heroin or bath salts or fentanyl, right?
No fentanyl in the chat, right? Okay, all right.
No, that bath salt stuff, man. I don't know what's wrong there. There's just all sorts of wrong that just happens with that.
Yeah, I don't get it either, man. But we do have.
Let's see. Well, we do have a lot of white supremacy problems up here in PNW. I see Confederate flags at the state fair because Oregon was so integral to the Civil. Yeah, it's the same thing. Honestly, what you see in a lot of different places that are far away from the South. If you see a Confederate flag outside of the South, that is somebody trying to tell you, yes, I do not like people of that hue. And I want a problem. I want a confrontation. I want you to come over and say something so I can argue with you or fight you or worse. That's all that means to me. I don't know. Like when I was in Florida, I see black people try to say, oh, well, no.
Beg me to argue. Beg me to fight.
South. I'm like, you're full of shit. You're a moron or a flat out coon. So, yes, I do call people.
I'm at the point where the Confederate flag doesn't even bother me. You know what I'm saying? I see it here.
Right. I think because it's in the South and you see it so much, it does bother me, but it gets to the point of like
you numb to it.
Right. Like I get always worried about like the white guy who wears like 4 guns. I saw that picture of that white guy
who
wears.
DJ. Come on, DJ Elf. You're not taking any
fentanyl. He said, I'm not taking fentanyl.
He's like, I'm not taking any fentanyl.
Oh, and those in the chat who have not checked it out, please go over to DJ Elf's channel. Check him out. I forgot. Give a shout out to Science Channel also and Kelly's radio station. We need to promote our fellow contributors and content creators also. And make sure to go and check out on DJ Elf's channel. I just recently did a nice, all over the place, fun, crazy interview, about 2 hours long. Me and DJ Elf talked about all kind of crazy stuff. So please, make sure you go check out that interview. Make sure you also subscribe, tap the bell, and show some love.
Hey, did you guys watch the Grammys or whatever it was this week or last week?
No,
I think the only thing I knew about the Grammys was that Jay-Z's kid won.
Oh yeah. I was wondering if you guys saw the WAP performance with Meg and Cardi B.
Wait, and then it blew up on like Twitter about Candace Owens saying something about one vagina going into another vagina and everybody just trashing her about not understanding.
Sarah can answer for me.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. That's exactly how they're because they right. You got properly clowned for that.
I didn't watch it, but I saw the clips. But I mean, it was like we thought Madonna kissing somebody, a few years, back in the day was a lot. This was like, I wonder. Oh yeah, thank you.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah, definitely, that would be awesome. We would love that. I mean, I feel like I'm trying to figure out other avenues. I was actually thinking about possibly even making bumper stickers. I drive around so many places and there's so many people here. I could randomly get a little bit of extra exposure, but any kind of extra exposure, we're all for it and appreciate it. Um, let's say, boy, she's feeling nice and good right now.
Right. She's on. She's gone.
Oh, I love it.
Yo, look at
This
Thomas's
is
look at Thomas's
Wait.
comment though.
Cardi B took her waffles to the Grammys. What about the kids? And I used to tell people all the time. I said, I'm so glad that they didn't have a lot of this camera technology when I was growing up.
You and me
Because-
both. Woo!
Oh my goodness! For
Whoa.
one, thank goodness we don't have to worry about our parents. For the most of us, because some of our parents out there are a little freaky now. They had the big ass like camera all on the stand, you know, all cocked up in the room. So, you know, that's a whole different matter. But most of us
Little Bob
don't
Crane
have
action.
any of that crap going on at all. But all of y'all now, y'all gonna be having to sit there in ninth grade, you know, English, and wonder why everybody's passing around their phone. And hey, you see Jimmy's mom? Yo, you see how she dropped it? Oh man. Hey, and then she hit with the splits at the end. That's what you're gonna have kids talking about. You think bullying was bad when we were growing up? Oh wow, yeah. It's
Well,
about to get
hey,
real.
you know what? That just made me think. Did you see the story a couple weeks ago? I mean, look, it's late, and I don't really feel like talking about anything too serious at this point in time, right? Did you see the story? I can't remember what state it was, but this woman got her children kicked out of private school because somebody found her OnlyFans page. I'm like, you hating ass bitches.
I remember that, but I can't
Yo.
remember what state that was.
Yo, you brought up, since you said that, like, I gotta bring this up because see, people, y'all wouldn't know about this because in the whole kind of like little religious, I won't say little, but in the religious kind of community where the people are a little bit more than just going to church, where they're actually debating back and forth the Bible, they have what's called Christian apologists who will go against Hebrew Israelites like myself. Well, this group called the Shield Squad, they had this girl in there called Shani for Christ. Gross is one of the grossest things you'll ever see. But anyway, Shani for Christ, she got in all this trouble about calling people niggers, not just niggas. And that her generation got rid of racism. And so then it comes out that this Christian page, Shani for Christ, has a fans only page. And it's a couple of them. I'm telling you, the dirt in the Christian world is even crazier than politics. That's why I need to come over and start onto my channel and hear some of the crap that we're going to be talking about. Because this is one high level bishop. Dude is sitting on, I think he's worth like 30 million or whatever. This is like the second or third time he's gotten caught running up in another bishop's wife. When I get to this stuff, it's delicious. It's so entertaining. So please come over to the channel and catch some of that stuff. Oh, and I saw a comment that I did not want to miss it before we get ready to wrap up.
Marcus, I got it for you. I'll do it.
Sarah said, Marcus is my guardian angel. You don't know how much I appreciate you. I was going through it. And I still remember when I met her, I had that conversation, and I was like, you know, prayer, just come back to the Lord and then have true faith. And you got to come back like a child. You can't come in with all your preconceived notions. You got to come back like a child and in complete contrite heart and humbleness, and things will see their way out if you put your faith in the right places. You put your faith in this society and worrying about what all the doctors and all the so-called smart people are always saying, you're going to forever be trapped in the dark and be a damn lemming. Yes, thank you for putting it in there. Oh, I did want to say my next video that's coming up, I'm doing one on the Hittites, and I will be doing a very, very, very special one on the place called Mount Seir or Petra, or other known as Edom, the home of the Edomites. So we're going to go into that on the next video, and I should be doing that tomorrow. On here, I got a video which I'm going to break it into different parts, but this is an old school video from somebody who is pretty high up, involved with a lot of the whole, let's say, Illuminati circles. And so I'm going to break the video. I'm going to break it down to probably like 30-minute clips and put that up on this channel so that you all will be able to go through it. I know the 2 hours might be a whole lot, but I wanted to be up on the channel so at least my audience is knowledgeable about this. So when we start talking about other things, you will know exactly why we say what we say and why we believe what we believe. Kelly asked a question for us on our final thoughts. Panel, any last thoughts on March Madness? Did you all take all up? Honestly, I was kind of bummed out with how all this stuff has went. You know, it's been kind of crazy. So this is probably the first year, actually no, second year I didn't watch March Madness. And I probably watched March Madness every year of my life up until now, because with the whole COVID thing, my team was like favorite number one. Then the tournament gets canceled. Then we had all these problems with the COVID stuff. It's just been a bad year for us. So I guess I just wasn't in the March Madness mood as much. What about you, fellas?
No, I didn't. I haven't watched any of it. I mean, I still.
Usually I know something about it, but not this time. I flat out don't know anything.
I mean, I've been watching my basketball, like NBA, but I haven't watched any of the college stuff.
Right.
Well, let's see. My favorite Bible quote: Let us take our fill of love until the morning. Can't remember who wrote that, but I used to have it in my Bible when I was in nasty enough for Halloween. Oh wow. Well, and yeah. I'll just leave it at that. But tomorrow I will not be doing a live stream for what I've been thinking. I'm probably I'm gonna drop a couple of I'm trying to work on a couple of projects which I want to do. I'm thinking about literally taking a couple of my videos from my Hebrew apologetics and putting it on that channel, because it's actually it's almost more historical information than it even is biblical information. So it kind of, I didn't know which channel I was going to release it on, because it can kind of go for both. So just make sure to follow all those channels. Yeah, you guys all know. And I guess that is it. We're going ahead and close it out. I mean, we kept you guys long enough, and I know for my brothers over there, they're on the East Coast. It's much later for them, and they're trying to struggle it out. They're not as whacked out crazy as I am, and we'll just pounding coffee and energy drinks all day and all night long. So they care more about their health than I do. They care more
I live in Party Town. They still partying downstairs from my house. I can hear the music playing. So
right,
maybe I'll go
around where Chris is.
Maybe I'll just go outside for a little bit. I don't know yet.
Yes. And yes, we will definitely be back next week. And I hope everybody who came to join us comes back next week. With all the crap that goes on in the world, there's definitely going to be plenty to talk about. And some prophecies, I believe, are going to really start picking up more and more, since it just went into our Hebrew New Year today. So with the Hebrew New Year, prophecies are going to pick up, because what's good for the Israelites is not necessarily good for their enemies. And if you guys start understanding who these different nations are, who are their enemies, then things will start making more sense. But with that said, this has been the Political Matrix. I am your host, Young Morpheus, here with my good friends and my colleagues, Mr. Cy Lawson and the Blue Maverick himself, Emmanuel. With that said, you all have a great weekend, and we'll catch you all later. Thank you.
Thank you,
Nice,
guys.
guys.
Peace out.
Thanks, guys.